Our story begins beneath the salt-kissed air of Sausalito, where the fog rolls in soft and secrets settle even softer. Hannah Hall, a gifted woodworker, steady and self-contained, has built a quiet life with her husband, Owen Michaels, and his guarded teenage daughter, Bailey. It's not a perfect family, but it's theirs. Until the day the FBI storms the tech company that Owen works for, and he disappears. He leaves behind no explanation, no goodbye, only 2 words written on a scrap of paper: protect her. What follows is not just a search for a missing man. It is a descent into a life that Hannah and Bailey never knew they were living. False names, buried histories, a past that stretches back to Austin, Texas, and into the shadow of organized crime. As Hannah and Bailey are forced into an uneasy alliance, grief turns into suspicion, suspicion into revelation, and revelation into a choice that will fracture everything they thought they understood about love, loyalty, and identity. By the time season 1 closes, answers have come, but at a cost. And as season 2 begins, hope flickers in the distance, not for closure, but for reunion. The question is no longer who Owen was, but whether if finding him will save them or undo them all over again. Hi, friends. I'm gonna need a name for all of you Screen Coveners. That's not it, obviously. What are your thoughts? Drop it in the comments. All right, so we're back for episode 2. If you've already subscribed, thank you so much. Truly, it means the world to me. This channel is something I've wanted to start for such a long time, and I'm really excited to get into things. So if you're an early supporter, just know that I am incredibly grateful. The next show we're going to get into is The Last Thing He Told Me on Apple TV. If you're not familiar with the show, it stars the brilliant Jennifer Garner, who plays Hannah. Hannah lives in their perfect home with her perfect husband, played by Nikolai Coster-Waldau, who you likely know as none other than Jaime Lannister. And Owen, that's his name, has a daughter named Bailey, played by Nkawi Rice. In this episode, I'm going to break down the top 10 reactions I had while watching the first episode of the 2nd season. If you haven't already watched it, I highly encourage you to go do that now. Or better yet, if you haven't even watched season 1, maybe start there. So if you haven't seen season 1, there will be some spoilers here, but hey, maybe you like spoilers. Maybe you want to decide if the show actually gets interesting in season 2 or not, and then decide if you want to spend the time on it. I get it. Either way, I'm glad you're here. I'm going to preface this by saying that I have not actually read the best-selling novel by Laura Dave that the show is based on, The Last Thing He Told Me. So if you have read it and it's going to bother you that I haven't read it and maybe don't know certain details from it, you might want to stop here. For the most part, I don't like to read the book ahead of watching a series unless it's something that I've already read before I even knew that it was going to be a series. When it comes to television, I like to be surprised, and not only surprised, but I don't like to be disappointed. You know, so oftentimes you read the book and the film adaptation just doesn't quite do it justice. Doesn't mean that it's bad, but it's kind of frustrating. You know, I still feel that way about like the Hunger Games series, the Divergent series, all these different ones where I really was invested in the books. And then the movies just, not that they weren't bad, but they just didn't live up to the story that I built in my head. So just something to note about me and maybe my channel going forward. If the series is based on a book, I'm probably not going to read the book until after the series is over. Just so we can be surprised and we can actually dive into theories about the show and about the characters and things that are happening without kind of having that looming knowing over our heads of, you know, well, this happened in the book, so this character must be doing this next. You know, I do not like that. I didn't read any of the Walking Dead comics until the show was nearly ended with the original series. And you know what? I'm really, really glad I did because, of course, I heard spoilers here and there. But I don't want spoilers. I want to be surprised. And I do get very excited. If I didn't get very excited, I wouldn't have a reason to start this channel. So, thank you for listening. My TED Talk is now over. Let's move on with the show. We ended the first season on a time jump. We see Hannah opening her gallery, and in it walks a strange man. He brushes up against her. There's a slight interaction, just enough to confirm to Hannah that this man is Owen. And that's where season 2 picks back up, is really right there from that same scene. Which brings me to the main point of our video, which is 10 reactions I had while watching episode 1 of season 2 of The Last Thing He Told Me. So let's start there. We see Owen with a rather interesting looking beard, to say the least. And sure, it's a disguise. It doesn't have to be gorgeous or glamorous in any way. But this does take us to my point number 1. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I wrote down in my notes app, which is what a silly fucking disguise. Anyways, so first of all, if you actually were worried about someone recognizing you, I don't believe that fake beard is going to save your day. I don't. Maybe you didn't want it to be overbearing, you could argue, because you actually want Hannah to recognize you at least a little bit, sure, but it was just a little ridiculous to me that he couldn't have maybe tried a little bit harder. And then he took it off before he even got to the car. So it was kind of like anybody at all could see you take that off and know you were faking it. You were probably on a security camera. He had already tipped off the security guard because he had, I guess, stood there awkwardly for a minute when he had gotten off the escalator because he had seen Bailey. I also kind of don't really believe that Bailey wouldn't have noticed him when she was looking directly at him. I know her head was turned, but her head did turn in that moment when she was passing him. And I don't know, I just have like such a hard time believing that she wouldn't see him because, first of all, there's just kind of like a sixth sense that I think a lot of us have when somebody, one, is looking directly at us, which Owen was looking directly at Bailey in that moment. And two, I also just think that like something would have clicked in her that would have made her look up in that moment. Like a serendipitous, universal pull kind of thing, if you will. Anyways, I digress. That was point number 1. I'm upset about the silly disguise. Point number 2. Bailey makes odd choices. Okay, so I guess that they just really wanted us to understand where Bailey's headspace is in this episode. So I can understand that. But I think it was just a little annoying to me because in the first season, Bailey was a wonderful character, but she was still very young and she had very much still a naive presence to her. She was, of course, helpful in trying to remember some information about Austin and her past family. But, she didn't really have a lot of ideas that would help to, let's say, keep her and Hannah safe or really try to help find her dad. She kind of just, was upset a lot and took the direction of Hannah. Well, actually, she didn't even really take the direction of Hannah half the time. She didn't want to do that either until like more the end of the season. So I guess I thought with this 5-year time jump that we were going to come back into things and we were going to see a totally new side of Bailey. And I guess in a way we did. This wasn't the way that I was hoping to see her character progress, especially into adulthood. Really what we're seeing in this episode is she's kind of abandoning her dad. She no longer is sitting here and defending him very much. She's very, very invested into building a relationship with her new family. And I can't really blame her. I'm sure she's dying to know what her mom was like. I'm sure she's dying to know what her grandfather is like. And everyone in that family is welcoming her with open arms, so I'm sure it feels incredible. But I just don't know if I really buy it. While still not an adult, Bailey was 16 in the first season, so she's 21 now. That was 16 years of spending life with her dad. She didn't even remember her mom. She was completely invested in her dad. And you could tell that because they made such a point of making sure we knew that in that first season. So I just don't really believe that somebody who has been with their dad and loved their dad so much for 16 years, your dad goes missing because you know that people are trying to hunt him down and kill him. And those same people also want you dead and your stepmom. I don't know. I have a hard time believing that she's all of a sudden just gonna flip the switch and be like, "Oh, Grandpa, I love you so much. Oh, wow, my mom's best friend was the daughter of our enemy, of the guy who's trying to kill my father and me. Oh my gosh, like let's go out for lunch and get pedicures." No, I just don't see that happening. So I don't know. I said Bailey makes odd choices. That was the first part of this. There's a little bit more in there too. Maybe it's just the weird writing, but Bailey makes odd choices. Third thing I noticed, are we getting more action this season? Both kinds of action actually would be preferred. But what my point was with this was we're immediately seeing Jennifer do action scenes. She gets a warning on her phone, and a man breaks in, claiming there's a gas leak, and attacks her. She fights him off. Later in the episode, we had a few more fight scenes, and there was also a decent amount of running with Hannah and Bailey trying to find safety. I'm really glad that they picked up the pace a bit for this episode, and I hope that that continues throughout the rest of the season. I love season one. I think it was a really great show. But they did so much wrapping up of so many storylines in season one that I genuinely was wondering, what are we going to get from season two? What is the story here? Where are we going to go? And I think the only way that they can really continue this while still building momentum is to really add more of an action element into the season. So I really hope this was a sign that more is to come. I love seeing Jennifer Garner kick butt. Let's see more of it. Point number 4, I wrote, LOL, the protection knife. What is this bullshit? 5 years and still no protection. Honestly, what was this scene? Are we supposed to think that Hannah was trying to buy a gun and this was the best this guy could give her was a tiny little switchblade hidden inside of a car key? I don't know. It's been 5 years and you still have not managed to buy any sort of protection. This man comes into your home and is attacking you, and you don't have 20 different knives in your kitchen and, an axe hidden in your living room and a stun gun in every bedroom or something like that that you can try to hit him with. I don't know. I'm confused. Again, it's been 5 years of you having to have protection because your life is in danger. Are we just supposed to believe these characters are complete idiots who just decided, oh, we're perfectly safe now, we're fine? There was even a scene where Hannah was talking with Bailey, and Hannah mentioned that Grandpa looked really good, especially after how he looked at Christmas. Okay, so you're telling me this man already was in poor health? It just feels like you needed to have a better plan in place for what you were going to do if and when he passed away, and your protection is no longer there. Let me know in the comments. What do you think the point of all of this was? For point number 5, I put, this show makes weird decisions for scenes to share info that feels unnecessary. Have you guys noticed this in season 1, and then now I noticed it in this first episode of season 2 as well? I just feel like there are a lot of filler scenes that are meant to deliver information to the viewers. They don't really add to the story, they kind of just take away from it, in my opinion. Point being, Hannah is meeting with Jake, and we've seen Jake plenty of times throughout season 1, but honestly, his storyline was really unimportant. I don't really understand the point of having this character around at all, except for these filler scenes, as I mentioned. With Jake being a lawyer and Hannah's former boyfriend, we can only really hope that at some point his character will step up and really come into play. I'm sure at some point this season, Owen will need a lawyer, so maybe this is where Jake will get to shine. In this episode, Jake comes over to Hannah's house, and what we get is basically just an update of Jake got married 2 months ago, which, again, very unimportant detail. Hannah has not been returning his phone calls, so maybe we're supposed to be learning that Hannah's isolating herself a little bit right now. And Hannah explains that she just has been having kind of a dark feeling lately and doesn't really know why. And then Jake kind of brushes her off and he leaves. Again, I'm not really sure what we got from this scene, and it actually takes me to my next point. But before I do get there, some other examples of this in the very first season, I think it's the very end of episode 2. This was one of many examples where Hannah called Jake because she wants to ask him what the colors of the Dallas football team are in the stadium. Because at this point, Bailey might be remembering something about being there at some point. And the colors of the jerseys, the stadium, and what people were wearing were white and burnt orange. So Hannah calls Jake to ask him if he knows. And again, this is a weird filler scene. This easily could have just been a quick online search. and carry on. We could have had 30 seconds of more interesting screen time. Truthfully, I rewatched all of season 1 again right before season 2 came out, and it was just bothering me even more how many times I felt like Hannah should be Googling something. Why is she so incompetent? Which is frustrating, you know. That's not the feeling I want to have about these characters. I want to keep thinking, oh, how smart and interesting they are. I don't want to be sitting here and questioning all of their choices. So I really hope that's one thing we're going to see less of this season. But the fact that I felt like there was already quite a bit of it in the first episode does make me a little skeptical. My next reaction was, no Jules? Cry face? Where is Aisha Tyler this season? You guys, I looked and she's not credited at all, unless they're lying to us. At the time I'm recording this, I don't see anything online that tells me why her character isn't in this season. I'm confused and not happy about it because, like I was just saying, it already feels like there's a lot of unnecessary characters in the show, and you got rid of one of the only good supporting characters. Rude. Point 7, just a cute note. I love Bailey's style this season, so that is, I guess, one good character upgrade they made to her was they really enhanced her style and kind of made it her own, and I think they did a really good job with it. She looks adorable, and that is all. Point number 8. We have a new character this season, and her name is Quinn Favreau. We know her as daughter to the enemy, the one that's trying to kill Owen, Hannah, and Bailey. But she is played by the one and only Judy Greer. If you don't recognize the name off the top of your head, just think the number 1 6 chick, and hopefully that tells you everything you need to know. Also, shout out to her television show called Married back from 2014. There's 23 episodes. If you all have not seen this show, I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite comedies. Check it out. So, Bailey meets with Judy's character, Quinn, in hopes of getting information about her mom, Kate, since they were best friends. IMDb shows Judy being in 3 episodes this season, so I'm pretty excited to see where her character arc goes. For whatever reason, Bailey seems to really trust her, so maybe there's a very small chance that she could be an ally for them. And of course, I'm very excited to see if we're going to get a Judy and Jennifer reunion on screen. Point number 9. Their lack of plan upsets me. Okay, so at this point in the episode, Hannah and Bailey are on the run. It seems like they have a decent plan. They're ditching their phones, they're ditching their car, they're going to a storage unit to get a new car which has new phones and presumably some supplies to help them get to wherever they need to go. But Bailey just starts panicking. Hannah reminds her to look at the map and to talk about what their plan is. They're stopping at small, shady hotels that they normally wouldn't want to stop at. They're keeping a low profile. And when Bailey asks Hannah how long they're doing this for, Hannah explains it's just for a few days until we can figure out what our plan is. This part just kind of annoyed me. You're on the run, you're trying to be killed, your daughter's trying to be killed, you don't know where your husband is, and your plan is kind of to just stay in a couple hotels because Owen marked them on a map at some point. Thankfully, it does pay off. Because at the end of the episode, we see the U.S. Marshal, Grady Bradford, return. Are we finally getting a reunion between Owen, Hannah, and Bailey? Or are Hannah and Bailey just being relocated to somewhere safer? I'm excited to find out in the next episode. And my final reaction to this episode, and I'm going to keep this one pretty quick. It's actually more of a hope for the future episodes. What I would love to see is Bailey's character really rising up. I'm aware I spent a little bit of this video picking her character apart. To be clear, it's, I think, because she's actually my favorite character in this series, and I think there's so much potential there. My hope is that she knows exactly what she's doing, and maybe she's using Quinn, and at the end of all of this, it will be something that Bailey does that helps to save her dad for good. What do you all think? Let me know in the comments. Are you excited to watch season 2? What are your predictions? Let's chat about it. Would you like to see more videos about the show? Let me know that too. Thank you so much for joining me for episode 2 of Screen Coven. See you next time.